Everyone loves a good deal. You want to get the best possible price for whatever you're buying, whether it's a premium old school bar or a brand new gold coin. But it's also important to keep yourself safe, and the amount of people that I see out there that put themselves in danger, at risk from buying either online, from a dodgy site, or in person, it's quite amazing. And it does make me think, really, is it worth taking the risk to save maybe a few pounds or dollars on your gold and silver purchases? Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble where we shoot the breeze about all things beautiful and shiny. Getting the best deal on your gold and silver is of course top priority for a lot of seasoned stackers and brand new as well. Nobody really wants to pay significantly over the odds for the gold and silver that they might want to accumulate. However, there are times when it's okay to buy your silver and gold at higher prices than perhaps you might find online. And despite the fact that there is this huge increase in the number of scams, scammers and fraudulent dealers and just downright thieves out there, there are still people that take risks. So for me as a stacker and buyer of gold and silver, I want to share some of my thoughts, tips, hints and tricks about staying safe when buying, some of the things to watch out for, even if you're buying from social media, from brand new people or a seasoned bullion dealer. It's worth doing the research to find out more about them. Now, this isn't a financial advice video. I do just think it's a good public service announcement to remind people that whilst a price might seem quite good online, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right company to buy from. The first port of call that I always take is just doing a little bit of background research on a brand new company. If I'm looking to buy a new 10-ounce Queen's Beast coin and I see that there's a really great price out there from a company, I look to see why is that price a lot lower. If you're finding one that's 15, 20, 30% cheaper than some of the other competitions out there or even the social media marketplaces, why is that? Is somebody just trying to get you through the door? Is somebody just trying to get that cash in and then of course not deliver? Now, there are a bunch of very good new bullion dealers out there that have emerged over the last few years, and it's always important to remember that not all companies are scams, and not all new companies are scams as well. But it is difficult to know from a new company, and one of the things that I sometimes do is I'll just simply ring them up to ask them about their shipping policies, about how they've, how long they've been in business, what their, missing items in the post policy is, things like that. It is important to do, and I think it helps build that relationship. However, for me as a buyer, I tend to stick with a very select few number of businesses that I've already bought from in the past. And if, for example, there was a new company that I wanted to buy a particular gold coin from, one of the very first port of calls to look for that would be here on YouTube or social media to see if there are any previous reviews or negative experiences from others. Reviews are a real difficult one though, because there are a lot of very shady review sites out there that will allow fake reviews or reviews that have been paid for, and that's not good. So it is important, I think, to have that kind of social context, that social media context there, to find real people that have got real experiences. And it can be quite, daunting to get into that. And I've got stories where I've been, I've had bad purchases from various different companies. One which I'll tell a story of in a moment. I'll go into a bit more detail, where I didn't get what I ordered for a good 3 or 4 months, and by that point I was fed up and wanted a refund, and it took me a long time to get that refund. But I'll tell a little bit more about that as we go. Sometimes getting that best deal is a high risk, and it's not just about not getting the product or perhaps even getting a fake gold coin, but just not getting anything at all and having your details stolen, or having your details then shared with somebody who might want to come and burgle you. And that's a real thing. Like, if you just set up a random bullion website and you start getting people ordering, you're going to get this database of people that have gold coins or want gold coins, even if it costs the dealer, inverted comma, the criminals a few £1,000s in silver coins to sell out to their customers. You've got this wealth of information. Now, that's an extreme. That's not always the case, but there are certainly methods by which these criminals can obtain your details, and that's one thing to be very cautious of. And having a good look at communication policies and data policies of companies is integral as well. I've done videos in the past showcasing the terms and conditions of various different companies that will sell absolute garbage coins, but they do it at, well, they'll lure you in with a spot price sovereign and then try and upsell you all of these other crap coins, but the real thing that they make their money on is selling your data. And it's all in their T's and C's. And I've put out a few videos showcasing that some of these companies will be selling your T's and C's, selling your details out via their T's and C's to a vast majority of different companies all around the world. And that data suddenly from someone that you've bought gold and silver from is out there. Not good at all. So be very mindful of that. And one of the ways to avoid that kind of thing, of course, is to look to maybe buy on social media. But there within lies its own risks as well. If you're buying, just as a simple stacker and you're buying from Joe Blogs on Instagram or on YouTube or even on the Silver Forum, you've got to ask yourself, do you really want that personal information of yours, that address details, going to some random stranger? It's the same concept, in fact, even less regulated perhaps than a bullion dealer. So whilst a good deal might seem like it comes up on your Facebook feed or on your Instagram feed, always ask the question, what's the risks involved with buying that particular item at that particular price? In my opinion, those risks can be far too high indeed. And it's amazing to see that some people really do still take those risks. One thing to mitigate that is a PO box. Now, PO boxes are not cheap, but at the end of the day, you could save yourself a lot more hardship and hassle by having that PO box. And it is quite important to keep yourself safe when buying gold and silver. Now, getting back to my little story where I made a mistake, and I think it is important to share the lows. I've been pretty savvy since there, always looking in more detail at particular organizations. But it was quite early on within my silver buying, and it was for my poured silver business, and I was looking to buy some silver casting grain. And it was relatively hard to come by at the time. I didn't know about places like the European Mint where I was buying then subsequently for a few years. But I found a great looking dealer in Birmingham, and Birmingham was a really well established jewelry quarter, and it was a bullion company, and it had been there for a while. I looked online and I found a few good reviews of them, and it was great. It all seemed fantastic. I bought a big batch of silver casting grain from them, and it never came. And getting in touch with them a number of times, it was evident that it probably wasn't coming. They said they had to order it in. And I was like, well, why don't you have it already? You had it listed for sale. And it just didn't arrive. Never came. And it got to a point about 2 months in that I was like, do you know what? This is just not on. This is not acceptable. I'd like to have a refund, please. And then they started trying to throw some T's and C's at me, saying that you can't cancel a bullion order and all of this. So I just very politely said, look, it's been 2 months. You haven't delivered my products. I want my money back. Otherwise, this is going to be going to trading standards. And it wasn't done in an aggressive, threatening way, but it got the message across. And it took another few messages and emails back and forth to finally get the cash in my bank account, but I did finally get that money back. And I think that was a bit of a lucky, fortunate circumstance. You get good dealers that perhaps have bad people in them, and that's something to be wary of. And you have dealers that are just not very good at their jobs. That happens a lot too. And when you find a good dealer, it's worth keeping a note of them and worth keeping that relationship building with them. And I think it is important both from keeping yourself safe, but also keeping you in the market about what is the right place to perhaps sell to at the end of the day. If you're buying a lot of gold and silver for a specific reason and you want to maybe look to sell it at some point, having that relationship, having that knowledge of which dealers are good dealers is great. Now, one thing I haven't really talked about is buying in person. A lot of this has been through the online marketplaces, but buying in person, there's a risk element to it, of course there is. And I've talked about some of the steps that you can take to protect yourselves when buying in person, but again, it's the same principle of risk element there. And just because something is a good deal doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth getting and worth putting yourself at risk to get. One thing that I saw a great video on a while back, it was a couple of years ago now, if not more, from Yankee Stacking. He met somebody to buy some gold and silver from him. And Yankee was very, very good about the whole thing. He made a great video about it, meeting in a public place. It was great. And one thing that Yankee said to this chap that he was buying from was, do you have proof that you bought these in the first place? Because, of course, buying in person can put yourself even at more risk if you're buying stolen goods. If somebody is just doing a cash transaction, looking to get this stuff out of their hands into yours, you could be putting yourself at significant risk down the line, even, legal risk, perhaps. I mean, perhaps if you pleaded ignorance there, it wouldn't necessarily be legal risk, but at very worst, you'd be looking at that legal risk, but at very best, you'd probably lose the things you bought and they'd be returned to their owner. So keeping yourself safe is really important, and it does stagger me how many people will put themselves at risk. when they see a new product come out and they think, yep, I'm going to buy it from this place because it's cheaper and I'm saving. You know, I've seen it so many times that people will ask questionable listings on places like eBay or anywhere because a deal looks too good. And the most important message from this whole story here, this whole video, is that if it does seem too good to be true, it probably is. And you should maybe just take a step back and think, yeah, maybe this isn't the deal for me. So that's my thoughts and opinions on keeping safe, and it is quite important, I think, to do that. And you know, it is the most important thing, keeping yourself safe when buying precious metals. There's no argument about that. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Otherwise, that's it from me here today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know with a big thumbs up and let YouTube know as well. And hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 40,000 subs. And we're going to do a giveaway when we get there. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button to not miss any announcements about the giveaway when it comes up. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.